Monday to all of my social friends out there. I am here with one of my absolute favorite people, Nan Leffingwell. And let
Well,
me just introduce you to Nan. I'm going to say a few words about you so you can just sit and bask in the glory of my praise here.
okay.
Nan is a multi-talented business owner. She is a tech wonder. She has two companies, one by the name of Timble Tech, where she helps women and people in general with technical skills. She also has a company called Timble Mindfulness, as she is a mindfulness and meditation coach. She is one of the most calming, most humble, most lovely souls that I have ever come into contact with. And I am blessed to have crossed her path and to have worked with her in a couple different capacities, as well as having the privilege of being a co-author alongside her. So Nan, welcome. I'm so glad to chat with you today a little bit about your chapter in Leading with Light, which is called Limitless. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration to write that chapter.
First of all, thank you, Jess. That was very kind. Thank you very much for your words. Yeah, so we met and and had started a natural conversation together. And so when you said, "Hey, there's this book coming together," immediately the alignment felt exactly where I needed to be. And so I have you to thank to introduce me to the other authors, get to know them, get to know the Center of Influence community that is doing all these great books and bringing these people together to create these anthologies. And so my teaching style is from a personal experience place. There's plenty of books out there that are filled with quotes by great teachers and neurology and psychology. And I'm more than happy to defer people to those experts should they need that level of detail. But I teach from this place of authenticity for my own human experience, as well as be a coach. So, as a mindfulness teacher, you can teach about mindfulness, you hand them the skills, and then you're done teaching. But a mindfulness coach says, here are the skills. Now, how are we going to apply them? What do you want to apply them to? So I gave my audience an example of how I applied some mindfulness meditation techniques. Obviously, with mindfulness meditation, the goal is self-awareness. And that self-awareness, stated in the simplest fashion, is being completely self-aware in this moment, in your body, not with your mind running wild, but only with what's right here, not imagining a future or regretting a past, being fully present. What that then allows us to do is, once we have that space, is to say, how do I want to show up? Our ego is designed to keep us right where we're at and make the feeling of doing new things more difficult.
Mhm.
New things can really create a lot of anxiety. So one of my things that I worked on and used mindfulness meditation towards was public speaking. It's very easy for me to speak one-on-one to people, but I signed up for this opportunity to speak in front of several hundred people. I can't remember what the final count was that day. It was well over 600 people. Um, but I had, since that was new and the largest number of people I'd ever spoken with, I had some fear and some anxiety show up. And so my chapter is about how I worked with those emotions, how I worked with what may have been sitting behind those emotions, how those emotions felt in my body, and then thought about how I wanted to feel in my body doing that new action and took some time to visualize that. So that's a pretty common technique that goes a little bit farther from mindfulness meditation, more into positive psychology behind visualization. I also am very much a positive psychology person. So I'm big into feel your feelings, um, and be present for the uncomfortable as much as the comfortable. So, yeah, it's a small taste of how mindfulness can be a tool, developed not just for self awareness, but also for self growth and self mastery.
Great, great. And Nan, I do want to commend you because you do an excellent job of doing some storytelling in the book. And the book's
Oh,
really conversational. And I'm going to drop a little hint, but you got to get the book and read the chapter to hear the snake story in Nan's chapter. I'm not going to say anything more about that, and neither should you, because we're creating a little mystery. But I told you that that was one of the highlights of reading your chapter, because that was like, it was like being taken along a journey, and it was very compelling. I tell you, hats off to the storytelling of the book. I've been
thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I've been asking this question of everyone, because I know pretty much all of us, the 10 authors that wrote this chapter, were spiritual leaders, we're light leaders, we're thought leaders. We all kind of have a different philosophy and take on, our personal brand, and what has helped move us along the spiritual path, and on a path of growth. But as you wrote your chapter, what did you want the readers to take away? And this might be more than one thing, but can you speak to that for a moment?
Um, yeah, so what I would want them to take away is this opportunity. We all have bad things that happen in our lives. And not that we have to throw a silver lining onto every bad thing that happens to us, or even that it has to have a reason, or we have to create a story around it. But we can take those experiences and transform them using our internal compass and values, and transform them into the meaning that most affirms who we are. I think is how I would want the most what I would want people to walk away from is what affirms who you really truly want to show up as.
Ah,
Not a role that somebody else has given you, not a role that you aspire to, but when you listen deeply inside, what is it that your heart and your spirit are telling you that is your value system and how you want to show up in the world? So
yes,
that's what
no,
I would think. Yeah.
thank you for that. And before we got on, Nan and I were just talking, about both of her businesses, and that they may seem separate, but they're actually intertwined. And she was sharing with me, that one of the things that people that need her tech help and support with technical projects, etc., one of their overlying energies is fear, and that's where the mindfulness actually comes in. And you said something really um I forget exactly how you phrased it, and this was just a couple of minutes ago, but it was just so on point, just about the fact that all of your solutions to big technical problems have come in a state of mindful beingness, not in the chaos and the scritch of trying to solve the problem and trying to force a solution on a problem. Can you speak a little bit?
Oh, yeah. So true. So, working at a software company, I now work for myself and can pick and choose what projects I take on. But when you work for a software company, and if you're good at, say, firefighting a project like I am, you get assigned to the projects in the most trouble and or under the biggest gun. So sometimes on those projects, a project manager really emphasizes, if we don't solve this problem, here are the horrible things that are going to happen. What happens to the people working then on that project? It is not a freedom to solve. The fear sets in, and the more time is spent worrying about what's going to happen if we don't solve whatever issue we're solving versus allowing yourself all of the space to discover where the bug is. So, yeah, just this weekend, I was talking to another developer about mindfulness and coding. And, you know, meditation, the reason it's called a practice is because it's just practice. It's practice to prepare you for your life. Mindfulness should be present when you're coding, when you're washing dishes, when you're chopping wood, when you're cleaning the bathroom. That is when it should be present. It's not some elevated spiritual state.
Not just sitting on a pillow, Nan, really?
It is not sitting on a pillow. It is not sitting on a mountaintop. And my my biggest solutions for bugs and coding projects have all come when I have finally let go. And I will have the solutions just once that space is there, they'll just drop in. And it will just be all of a sudden where you look at a line of code that maybe you've seen 150 times and go, "Oh, I need a comma and I need two more variables here."
It's
And
like
then
that.
all and it that is how it happens. That is how it happens. You have to have space, you have to have peace. Good coding, good bug fixes, good solutions come when there's space for them to appear.
Oh, I
And
love that.
yeah, and we have to stop, whether it's code or relationship with somebody else, projecting a story, forcing the people in in that situation into your story for a role that they're not meant to play. That isn't going to solve your relationships. It's not going to solve your code. Being able to just take a deep breath and go, what else is here? What else is here? What else am I feeling? What other perspectives might be happening that I haven't allowed myself thoughts to explore? And what kind of empathy, what kind of compassion can I bring to this relationship or to this work situation, this work environment that I'm in? Doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat either. You can also be boundaried, but when you're really clear about who you are, it is so much easier to know when a boundary is crossed sooner and
Mhm.
then create that boundary that needs to be there with a lot of compassion and depth. And it doesn't have to be in opposition. So, yeah, it's a little bit, I get a little bit philosophical about this, but yeah, I really don't feel a difference between the kind of calm it takes to solve a technical bug and the kind of calm it takes to solve a problem in a relationship so that two people can show up more of who they are. It's the same work. And yeah, there's always the same culprits: fear, anxiety. It's the story about the consequences.
Yes.
Right? It's the
Yeah.
story, and especially if folks have maybe not experienced a lot of success in their life. They have had one hurdle after another. Everything then becomes a hurdle that needs to be jumped versus maybe that hurdle isn't there. Maybe if I don't give it that much energy, maybe I can run around it. I don't have to jump over it. It's that kind of questioning without just like everything's a question, nothing is known, everything is unknown, those kind of extremes. Just allowing for the things that are in your life to show up as they are.
Oh, I love that. What a great message to our listeners. And as you were talking, I just kind of want to encapsulate and reiterate that because I've saw an example of this in my own life recently too, where when you make space for something, you know how nature abhors a vacuum, right? The universe and
Yes.
will come in. And honestly, I had to make a decision lately because I'd been volunteering at my local chamber of commerce for 4 hours a week, and I realized I needed to put those hours back towards working, for myself and have those as money making hours in the day on a Tuesday
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of spending them. And as soon as I gave it up, like all these other things just rushed in to take the place. But there are things that are actually benefiting my business and benefiting me financially. So sometimes we have to let go of what we're gripping so tightly to in order to allow what needs to come in to come in.
Exactly. Yes.
To your
Yes.
point. To your point.
Yes.
I wanted to
Yes.
reiterate that one more time.
That's
Also,
beautiful.
want to hold up this gorgeous book that we now have copies of. If you are a special friend of Nan, she may actually be able to hook you up with a signed copy mailed to you
Yep.
from Kansas, signed by
Yep.
the author of chapter 4. And Nan, we literally wrote side by side because I'm chapter 3 and you're chapter 4, which I love. Three's my favorite number. It's a magic number. I wanted to be 3. Um,
Awesome.
I love it
Awesome.
that you're right next to me in the book. And guys, this is so worthwhile. I mean, I've been interviewing authors over the past couple weeks. Alexis is going to be coming on later at 5 for an author interview, and tomorrow I have Judith Junkie coming on. So pretty much 8 out of the 10 authors have been coming on for these interviews, which is beautiful. So thank you for joining me. If you want a copy of this book from Nan, hit her up. And I can provide you with one as well. And the book is also available on Amazon if you want to go that route. But definitely get it in your hands. And a quick announcement here. We already have the cover design for Leading with Light Volume 2, and it's pink. And we have some open spaces if you're interested in sharing your message with the world. So, Nan, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you on, and you're wise and soulful and lovely.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Take care. We're going to sign off.
Bye, everybody.